shooting straight from the hip.
Yeah, you know I'm always shooting straight from the hip.
Let's take a trip around the curve.
Hi, Carla. I'm James. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. You know, when I watched this movie, I literally was so taken aback that I needed a few minutes to compose myself before heading home, which means you did your job.
Good. You did yours too. That's just the reaction we need. Yeah.
But I want to talk to you a little bit about the clip of the talk show. And when he realizes that he's in the audience with all of the people that he saved, how difficult was it for you to get that together? Because I understand some of the real people were involved in that as well as some extras, right?
Well, in the audience, we had the children, as many as we could, of the real children that were saved in 1939. So when the presenter says, if anybody here owes their life to Nicholas Winton, please stand, the guys that stand really do. And next time you watch the movie, you look at the row just behind where Anthony Hopkins is sat. There's a family there of 3 sisters and a brother in their 50s, I guess. I'm not sure of their ages, but the emotion on their faces, right through the telling of the story, up to the moment that Sir Anthony turns around to greet them, is so powerful. It's like they're meeting Nicky Winton for real. It's not like a crowd of extras. It's so deep-seated. It was a difficult scene today to shoot on that day only because of the emotion in the studio. There was not a dry eye.
Yeah, there wasn't a dry eye in the theater of the people that I watched it with either. It was very powerful and very emotional. So thank you for that. Talk to me a little bit about securing Sir Anthony and Helena for this film, because I'm sure they're not easy gets.
No, and in fact, you see, the story with Sir Anthony was that Barbara Winton, Nicky's daughter, handed over the rights, saying to the producers, but you have to get Anthony Hopkins to play my father, which is a big ask of producers. Just go get us one of the greatest living actors of all time.
Right?
Yeah. So she wrote him a personal letter. We then go through the process of sending him the script, and then I went to meet with him, and we had a fantastic breakfast in LA. We kept talking. We discovered that we had a lot in common. Apart from anything else, we're both Celts. He's Welsh, I'm Cornish. I think that was a bond we quite liked. And of course, he'd worked with Helena 35 years before on Howard's End. I'd worked with Helena before on a TV movie called Enid about the children's writer Enid Blyton. And the interesting thing about Helena is that her family shares a lot of the heritage of Nicky Winton's family.
I found out that you have pretty much a very similar journey to Nicholas Winton in terms of having family that you have family members that helped save Jews during World War II. Is that correct?
Yeah, so my grandfather.
So how did that resonate with you as you were shooting this film? Was it difficult for you? Did you have moments, particularly in Prague, where you just kind of felt like, wow, I'm so glad that I'm a part of this project right now?
I felt definitely chills, and I felt like I'm so close to them, to my ancestors, my grandfather, and and all my aunts and my uncle. As soon as I put the clothes on too, because I come from very Austrian, European, Jewish ancestry. So my aunts and my uncles and even my mum, I mean, people who've watched it go like, oh, you're playing your mom or your grandmother or your, the whole lot of them came in to have a play. And then my grandfather, I knew I had to do it for him. I do think we carry around our ancestors inside us. First of all, we wouldn't be here without them.
That part.
But then getting to know them, you go like, I've got to sort of carry on. Our bodies are, we've got the body. So we got to use those bodies to carry on what they did on some level. And so it's his story, my grandfather's story as well. Thank you, darling. Who was, like Winton, incredibly modest, wouldn't talk about it, buried it all. Took his son, who lives in America, to really unearth what he'd done and make sure he was recognized at Yad Vashem. So it's with pride. There's a quote, there's a Nikita Gill poem. Do you know Nikita Gill? It's called
I do not. I'm not familiar.
That? We have to carry all the people who came before us.
Bobby was such a strong, proud, determined woman who was the backbone for Nikki with his activism. What lessons are you hoping that audiences take away from watching her tenacity through your portrayal of her?
First of all, I wish that I'd seen more mother-son relationships that are quite as dynamic as theirs. It's unusual. and I just hope that Winton and what he did, both, and I always stress it was a team, that it's a real lesson for that we can all. He was an everyman. He was a stockbroker. There was only just personal choice in this to actually get up and do something and put their heads together and have the chutzpah and work it out. And it was her, I think it was her saying, if nothing's impossible, nothing's impossible. So I think in this time when there's just so much craziness all over the world, that, he was a truly dynamically kind person who got so much done. And I think when watching it, you go, oh, amidst all this absolute terror and horror and people killing each other and massacre and intolerance, maybe, kindness can have a role and we can actually get things done. It is a very empowering message.
Nice to meet you. Your work was exceptional in this film. I really, really enjoyed watching you. But I was curious about, Davine Joy Randolph, who just won the Oscar for The Holdovers, talked to me a lot about collaborating with all of the departments on how she looked to craft her character. And I just wanted to know if you had that same experience with this film, because, it takes place through a very definitive time that's not contemporary. So I was just wondering what that experience was like for you.
When you have a positive experience like I did on this film, you collaborate with costume and hair and makeup design and production design in a really enjoyable way. And we had incredible conversations, like, because Doreen Warrener left loads and loads of letters and a diary of her time in the war, I was able to go, well, I know that she was having her hair done twice a week. So, she was having her hair done frequently, even though we think, oh, she's running around to, refugee camps all the time. And she's very, so you have that kind of, because you've done a lot of research, you also have that detailed understanding of the character that you can share with the wider team, and it can be a really enjoyable collaborative experience.
I know that your paternal, and please correct me if I'm wrong, your paternal grandfather was a Hungarian Jew immigrant. Did this hit you different, knowing that you come from that kind of lineage? Did doing this story hit you a little different?
I think it was maybe more when I was in Prague, when I was filming the scenes on the railway station where there were, the hundreds of these little children, extras dressed up in the costumes, and we were filming the scene of the evacuation on the real platform where it really happened. So it became a kind of reenactment of that event. I think I did find that very difficult. I found it emotionally very difficult to get through those days. And perhaps, you have a greater sense of it when you've grown up with those stories.
Oh, Miss Helena, I loved talking to you. I wish I had so much more time. I have so many other things I would love to discuss with you, but I'll catch you some other time on another project, hopefully.
I hope so too. You look great. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So do you. Thanks so much. Bye.